This episode is brought to you by Pause, Breathe, Reflect, the app that can help bring more mindfulness to your everyday moments. Imagine what would be possible if more people could live more mindfully.
Hey there, it's Michael. Welcome to the Kintsugi Podcast, a show for perfectly imperfect people everywhere. One of my favorite movies, it's in my top 50, is Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And I love the scene called the Bridge of Death. This bridge is guarded by the old man from scene 24, if you know the movie. Well, as King Arthur and his fellow seekers of the Holy Grail arrive, the old man stops them and says, "You must answer me these questions 3, ere the other side he sees." In essence, they have to answer 3 questions to cross the bridge of death and continue their search for the Holy Grail. Sir Lancelot is brave enough or foolish enough to go first, and he gets 3 easy questions. They are, what is your name? What is your quest? And what is your favorite color? We learn it's blue, and Sir Lancelot crosses the bridge of death. The others, thinking this is going to be a piece of cake, line up, but they get curveball questions that they don't know the answers to. And off into the gorge of eternal peril they fly. All this sets up this belief, in a funny way, that we must know everything about anything in order to find the Holy Grail, to find the meaning of life. And many of us carry this belief with us as we go through our lives. But it sets up unrealistic expectations and a whole bunch of fear that we will one day not know the answer to a question, and into the gorge of eternal peril we fly. But we can't possibly know everything about everything, can we? After all, we're not robots. We're not a search engine. Now, clearly, there are things that we must know or should know about life, about history, and about work. And there's a whole bunch of things that we don't know and don't need to know. I recorded a meditation on the Pause, Breathe, Reflect app that speaks to this. Then there's a whole bunch that we don't know yet. But if we have this story that we must know it all, we show up in life in a position of fear. Again, this belief doesn't set us up for success, but rather failure. Because eventually, we won't know the answer. We can't possibly know it all. And then we weave this story that we tell ourselves that we're dumb, not so smart, not good at our job, that we'll lose our job. And if you pull that thread a little bit further, we might think off into the gorge of eternal peril we'll fly. We'll never cross the bridge and find our Holy Grail, the meaning of life. Speaking as a former corporate executive with a team of about 1,000, I never expected my team to have all the answers to all the questions. That's just natural. But one thing I didn't appreciate is when people said, "I don't know," and the conversation ended there. That response does not elicit trust. It doesn't build connection. A much better response, because there'll be times when you don't know, could be, "Great question. Let me find out and get back to you." Or, "I don't have all the information just yet, but what I do know, here's what I think." Or you could say, "I don't know the answer, but I know where to get it." Or you could say, "That's awesome. Tell me more, and perhaps we can find the answer out together." These responses build trust, and in our Kintsugi way, build connection. And they also help you shift the story you tell yourself about yourself, that you no longer need to know everything about everything, and you can minimize some of your fear. And you're the type of person that when you don't know, you know where to go, find out the right answer. All in an effort, again, to find your Holy Grail, which contains a lot of wonderful connection. Now, before you go this week, I want to go back to an episode I posted a few weeks ago, all around my phrase, "be my guest," which was inspired by the Rumi poem, Guest House. It's a poem I keep next to my computer, and it's part of my philosophy about life. In it, I also shared Mel Robbins and her new "let them" phrase that she's written a book about and has a whole bunch of press and is probably making $1 zillion on it. Well, I recently came across something I didn't know from a woman named Sage Justice on Substack. And she wrote that "let them" actually originates from a poem that went viral in 2022 by Casey B. Phillips. And what Sage was referencing or saying, not in a cancer culture way, but more of a call out way, was that this "let them" that Mel is peddling is a bit of plagiarism. Or actually, let me take the bit of. It was plagiarized, which is an interesting take. I don't know the truth, but I'm going to put the links to Sage's posts from Substack in our show notes. And I'll let you do some sleuthing and draw your own conclusions. But I want to give credit where it looks like credit should be given, to Casey B. Phillips and her wonderful poem, "Let Them," which may or may not have led to "Let Them" by Mel Robbins. Curious minds will investigate and draw their own conclusions. As always, thanks for joining me here on the Kintsugi Podcast and finding a pathway to better connections in our Kintsugi spirit. And until next week, let's celebrate our scars as golden symbols of our strength and resilience. I love you. Talk to you soon.
This episode is brought to you by Pause, Breathe, Reflect, the app that can help bring more mindfulness to your everyday moments. Imagine what would be possible if more people could live more mindfully.